Good afternoon, everybody. This is Adrienne Montgomery over at ERP VAR. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, I'm joined by Noel Boostlawn over at Acumatica. He's a partner recruitment manager. We're going to be talking about why more partners add Acumatica to their ERP portfolio. We also have, thank you so much, Eric Frank over at NexTec. He's a top Acumatica partner. He's going to be talking about a little bit more about his experience with Acumatica. And we have Jeff Ashley over at Acumatica. He's the VP of Partner Strategy and Programs. He's going to facilitate the webinar. But I'm going to go ahead and just start off with some housekeeping notes and then hand it over to Noel to do a more comprehensive introduction. If you note on your webinar pane, you'll see a hand button and a question mark button. If you click on that question mark button, a dialog box will open up where you can go ahead and key in your question. And we're going to be reserving those questions until the end of the webinar. And just thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join us. We really appreciate you being here with us. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and let Noel get started. Thank you so much, Noel.
Thanks, Adrian, for the introduction there. Thanks, everyone, for joining onto our webinar today. It's why more partners add Acumatica into their ERP portfolio. Like Adrian said, my name is Noel Boostlawn, and I am a partner recruitment manager here at Acumatica. So a quick agenda for the afternoon for today's webinar. We're going to do a partner interview with Eric Frank from the NexTec group, an introduction and a company overview of Acumatica, the partner enablement journey with Jeff Ashley, and we'll talk about Acumatica's CRM's 5-star award-winning channel program. A little bit about our speakers today. Jeff Ashley is our Vice President of Partner Strategy here at Acumatica. Jeff has been working with Acumatica for the past 10 months and has been tasked with growing and developing Acumatica's partner program. While relatively new to Acumatica, Jeff has been spent over 30 years creating and building some of the most successful partner channels in the ERP industry. And our other speaker will be Eric Frank. He is the co-founder of the NexTec group and serves as the CEO. During his time with the company, he has filled a number of roles, including Vice President of Corporate Services and Vice President of Sales. The NexTec Group is a national consulting firm specializing in technology to help you manage your business. This includes ERP, CRM, and BI, cloud and on-premise solutions for mid-sized businesses. So Eric, thank you so much for joining us today. We just have a few quick questions for you, with the first one being, how long have you been a partner with Acumatica?
So this is Eric Frank. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. We've been an Acumatica partner just over 3 years now. I looked it up again this morning, and we just had our 3rd anniversary a couple weeks ago with representing Acumatica.
Perfect. Congrats on being part of this, and thanks for all the hard work you've done over the past 3 years. Tell us a little bit about your company and what products you represent.
Okay. So we started NexTec 20-something years ago, mid-1990s, and we do primarily ERP, BI, and CRM. We do represent a portfolio of various ERP solutions, Acumatica being the newest entrant into our portfolio that we brought on board just because it's so relevant to today's buyers with its great technology and cloud underpinnings in the product.
Perfect. So what brought you to Acumatica 3 years ago?
As we went through an investigation, kind of looking at adding a cloud product to our portfolio, we were struck right away by Acumatica's really strong channel focus. Their whole model is working with resellers like NexTec to help us get ramped up and reach out to the market and help to drive the success of the end customer. And Acumatica, we felt was very, very strong in their channel orientation. They also have excellent leadership. They have really good, solid mid-market functionality that helps us to unlock the value for our customers. And all of that is coupled with really cutting-edge technology. The ability to run the product anywhere, anytime, in a choice of deployment models has been really very good for our customers.
Perfect. Over the past 3 years, I'm assuming you've seen the growth and the changes with Acumatica, but can you tell us a little about your experience with the onboarding and training and enablement when you first came on?
Sure. So Acumatica has very good training and ramp up facilities. It's pretty refreshing. It's a company that clearly was, even before we joined, doing great things and was focused on helping to build out channel partners to be capable to do the consulting and things for our customers that we're used to doing. And the whole ramp up process was clearly and obviously designed to help new partners ramp up. And you don't see that as much in other parts of the market because whether the channels are a little bit more legacy or the products aren't as fresh. The other thing that I think that Acumatica did a really good job. They certainly, we had periodic calls where we bring the entire team in and they would do training for us. They're willing to assist in helping us get ramped up on demos or assist in deals. And so in those early deals when we weren't as mature as we are today, it was just so helpful to have them walking lockstep with us in helping to assess the customer challenges and sort of solve those. And then I would finally add, we really think they have excellent channel marketing. Their ability to help us to hone in on the messaging to attract the right kind of customers has been, much better than even expected. So lots and lots of help to help partners get ramped up.
Perfect. That's great to hear. So apart from ramping up and marketing support, how else has Acumatica contributed to your success?
I would say that as we look at what's happening in the market today, new buyers are considering cloud first, and so by its very nature, it being a very strong technology platform, it's allowed us to enter more conversations with potential customers of NexTec to talk about what they want to do from a technology and a business process perspective that allows us to really be that trusted advisor that NexTec wants to be through the engagement process with prospects to becoming customers to helping serve them over time. And so Acumatica has been really a vehicle for us to have more conversations with prospects about what their needs are. And that's really helped us to drive better growth and drive better customer attainment and customer retention.
Perfect. So Eric, I'm assuming you've worked within the platform throughout your time being a part of Acumatica. Can you share with some of your favorite product features?
Personally, we use Acumatica internally, and I really love specifically personally the project accounting suite. It's got really, really robust and powerful features in it that allow it to really be flexible for a company like NexTec. But beyond just looking at our own organization, one of the things that struck me right away with Acumatica was not just its real depth in having kind of really strong mid-market feature functionality in any specific area, but also the fact that it does in many areas. The fact that it has strong financials, strong distribution, strong manufacturing, strong project accounting, and CRM. And that story allows us to really handle a variety of situations with prospects and bring different strengths of the product to bear to solve the issues. So, rather than focusing on a specific area where I think, Acumatica is quite strong in many areas, I think about it being really just a great classic mid-market solution that checks many of the areas that a client would need.
Perfect. Last question for you, Eric. Do you have a favorite customer success story?
I do. Yeah, there's a recent success we had with a company called Navison, and they're a startup and they do solar panel manufacturing, and also they own solar panel farms. And it's the type of customer that historically with our portfolio we weren't likely to win. They don't have any infrastructure. They're moving really quickly. They needed to get a system ramped up quickly, and to a large degree, those things do orient a customer towards wanting to have a lighter infrastructure load and a more cloud or thin deployment. And in this particular situation, because they were new, we were able to get them up and running in 45 days for about 200 hours, and kind of landing that first phase of functional footprint that they needed to be running. And they viewed it as an investment in getting the baseline built for financial compliance and managing their day-to-day operations, but it's also an investment for them in the future. And so, having this platform that is very scalable and has a tremendous amount of additional things that they're going to need as they grow. To me, it's one of those things that it's a type of customer that NexTec probably wouldn't have won as effectively before we picked up Acumatica.
Perfect. Well, Eric, thank you so much for speaking to the prospective partners today who are looking into Acumatica to potentially add to their ERP portfolio. But many of you don't know this, but our summit, we have all our partners come in, and Eric has been coming to our summit the past couple of years. It's been great being able to speak with him and other partners on to why Acumatica's partner program is truly one of the best in the industry. Eric, if you could say a few words about summit, if you'd like.
Oh, sure. So Acumatica Summit is an annual event where they get together with many partners and customers, and it's just got this incredible vibe that you can tell that great things are happening every day at Acumatica. You can feel the excitement. I've seen it grow by just leaps and bounds over the 4 years I've been going to the event, and it's so focused on the customer story, the customer journey, about what the customers need. It's an excellent event. I would definitely encourage anybody to go to.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Eric, so much. Again, that was Eric Frank from the NexTec Group. Introduction to Acumatica. Acumatica was founded in 2008, and it truly was born in the cloud. You'll see marketing and about Acumatica saying we're the cloud ERP. Back in 2008, we made some pretty big bets then that proved to be pretty good decisions, like betting on HTML5 and web services, which is standard today. One huge part of our success is due to the fact that our founders have mid-market ERP in their DNA and have built world-class ERPs before. Many of them have worked for SL, GP, Everest, and quite a few others, and the industry experience they have has truly been great for Acumatica to keep driving our success today. The other important factor for our success is just timing. We entered the ERP market where there's a big disruption in the business applications moving into the cloud. Business applications such as payroll, CRM, and other point solutions have already made that move, and ERP systems we're starting to make that transition. And we are 100% channel focused, and that allows us to focus on our product and technology. It also allows our customers to work with partners who work very close, who are real experts in ERP implementations. We provide the support and guidance to our partners.
I think it's on your side. So if you click on unmute. So Eric, are you still there?
I am.
Hey, Adrian.
All right, awesome. So maybe you could talk about a little bit. I know you talked a little bit about how the awesome support that you received from the Acumatica side, but
Yeah.
could you maybe go into how Acumatica was able to enable you to obtain so much success? I know that you've been able to grow your Acumatica practice, and so was it, from being responsive on the Acumatica side when you had a question, or the technology of Acumatica because every customer is unique, they have their unique needs, and you want to be able to discover to what degree Acumatica might be able to address a unique customer's needs. So it's always nice to have that response from Acumatica, to be able to work in tandem with them to be able to address a particular need and illustrate how Acumatica's solution might be able to provide the ROI that everyone who is seeking an ERP solution, they need that reassurance that they're not investing in something that they'll have to replace. So I think it's important to have that responsiveness from Acumatica. Could you maybe walk us through how that occurred with maybe your first few sales and what industry those first few sales were in?
Sure. So, at the very beginning, the foundational layer was Acumatica, the online available training that you can do on your own anytime is really good. And the first thing we did was point, a lot of our consultants and our solution engineers and our salespeople at that Acumatica University training, and getting that through that first gate, where you have a foundational layer of knowing what the product does, but you don't really know that. You don't really know until you've done several implementations. You don't really know the relative strengths and other things. So in addition to that, Acumatica ran a face-to-face session for us for a couple of days, where we flew in about a dozen people to really get a deeper dive on beginning to figure out how to do the product demonstrations, and again, talking about the various suites within the product that we would likely see issues that customers would bring to us, and that gives you enough information to be dangerous, and then you have customer prospects that start asking you questions, and you're racing to try to make sure you understand the issues and how the product works. And so Acumatica would work with our solution engineers and help us to figure out the challenges. Sometimes that would be, hey, go do this homework. Sometimes it would be, oh yeah, that's a unique one. We've seen it here, and this is what we did. And so, in those first few deals, I mentioned that we use the product internally, so we ramped up pretty quickly on financials and project accounting. And then many of our next sets of deals, there was a lot of wholesale distribution, and so we quickly began to climb that hill. And even today, we still have calls either every month or every quarter that are designed to continue to evolve our team's knowledge, because it's such a rich and powerful product that it takes, you would expect it to take a while to learn each area of nuance. And so Acumatica has continued to work with us even after 3 years to continue our enablement journey. As we see new things or see new scenarios, they're always responsive, whether that's from the pre-sales team, the sales team, or getting plugged into some of the technical resources that can help us get past being stuck on a specific issue for prospects and for customers. They really do both. And I would say that Acumatica really is architected, the organization is architected completely to help channel partners. At the end of the day, they don't have the challenges of hybrid channels and other things like that I think make Acumatica very unique and very, very effective in how they deploy their assets to help us and other people like us, get going, solve problems, figure out the complex issues. So, I don't know if that was a long-winded answer to a short question, but that's some of the things that we've seen specifically.
And there's so much competition out there, with the other ERP systems. There's literally hundreds of different ERP systems. What do you think is what sets Acumatica apart from key differentiators? And you can't be all things to everyone, right? So how do they function in particular industries? I know that they're really strong with field service, really strong with manufacturing, distribution. Could you, at a high level, maybe share with us where you've seen a lot of success in what particular industries?
Sure. So we have seen within our relatively early success, companies that are heavily just in finance. We've seen companies that have deeper needs in supply chain management. Sometimes that layers in CRM as well. We've certainly seen manufacturing as part of the early wins that we have. And we have seen project accounting and field service as well. And so each of the core areas of Acumatica that are kind of the commercial suites that they have are all deep competitive products that when we're in talking to a prospect, we feel pretty good about our chances of being able to answer the functional questions. We also feel extremely strong about the story that Acumatica has about their journey, where they're making investments. Their technology within the product is also something that is very relevant in today's market. The buyers today do care about what is the future of the product? What is the long journey? And Acumatica has an excellent story to tell there.
And you mentioned manufacturing, and manufacturing just seems to be such a hot industry these days. And can you just maybe highlight some key functionality that you've seen in the manufacturing industry? And I know that sometimes carries over in field service. And I know that, we're all curious on, how to differentiate yourself, and you're a top partner. So, how is it that you're achieving so much success? And, do you grab on to vertical industries and really learn the product inside and out and how it can address individual needs? And maybe you could use the manufacturing industry as an example.
I'll try to speak. I am personally not a manufacturing expert, so I'll try to speak to the best of my capability. So the manufacturing suite comes from a place that is pretty mature in the industry. The team that built that product and added it into Acumatica, they've been doing this a long time, and so their product and their features are very, very relevant to discrete and hybrid manufacturers and moving into process. And so, when we go into situations where we have the challenges of dealing with going beyond what a standard supply chain management package will do, where you're dealing with, things like kits and bill of materials, and moving beyond that, the manufacturing suite really does answer the call and allows us to extend that functionality, not just to the people that move stuff around, but to people that make things.
And does Acumatica help you go to market too with opportunities? And I know that they're one of the only ERP developers left that don't compete with the channel. Isn't that correct? And do they help you?
That is.
Start up and your marketing and all of that?
They really do. They're willing to work. Their partner account management team has been excellent for us. We've built really good relationships there. They're willing to work with us specifically on deals that we're collaborating on. And to have the publisher able to walk side by side with you to help answer any questions that a prospect may want to have about not just NexTec as a consultancy, but Acumatica as a software publisher. I think Acumatica has done a good job there. Beyond that, being that we've been with Acumatica now about 3 years, we've seen an enormous growth with how aware the market is of Acumatica, how many deals it's being invited into. And so they've done a great job in terms of getting the name out, the good stories, the brand. In addition to that, they really do have good product marketing that allows us as a channel partner to use some of their channel marketing assets to drive lead generation. And we have found that what they've provided to us as either turnkey or a la carte add-ons to our own marketing efforts has been really, really good. And it's something that I think they've been good at for a while, and they keep getting better at. So we're using a lot of their assets to drive our own lead generation demand and seeing good results from it.
So I see that we don't have, I know that Jeff is trying to log in and we're not seeing him yet. I think he's listening to us, but we can't see you, Jeff. But thank you so much for giving that a try. I'm going to launch a poll here. And I just want to remind the audience, if you do have some questions for Eric, he's a top partner not only for Acumatica, but I know that you've been doing this for a number of years. Eric, if you might be able to answer some questions from the audience, that'd be great. So there's a question mark right next to your name on the webinar pane. If you click on that button, a dialog box will open up where you can key in your question. And I'd love to be able to collaborate with the audience a little bit more. If you have some questions, I'll announce them for Eric. I'm going to launch this poll. So hopefully you found this helpful. We're just trying to walk in the shoes of business partners out there and uh, educate you a little bit more about the partner program. Eric, how many years have you been in the ERP industry?
Oh, so I started off in the ERP industry in 1994, and NexTec was started around that same time. I started the Houston entity that joined NexTec. I started that entity in 1996, so it's been 20-something years. Long journey.
Exciting, right?
It is. It is, and I mean, the interesting part, having been around and doing this for a while, it's refreshing to go and work with an organization like Acumatica that I think really gets it. They're organized and from a corporate perspective to try to grow and be a dominant player in this market. And it's an exciting time. You want to partner with organizations that have similar cultures and values to you. And Acumatica has that, and for people on this call and many of my friends in the industry, it's a very comforting feeling to know that Acumatica is very well aligned with their channel partners to drive the mutual success we're going for. And it harks back to maybe a more simple time that many of us may have had in our earlier careers where things just didn't seem so complex from organizational structures within the publishers.
And I'm going to go ahead and launch another poll here, and we have several more questions, Eric, so thank you so much for answering those. And would you like to be contacted by an Acumatica partner recruitment representative? If you could just take a second to answer that question, that would be awesome. And we have a question from Steve. Thank you so much for your question, Steve. Eric, did you cross over personnel from on-premise to Acumatica or hire new staff?
So we started off by crossing over personnel. We took a few of our team members that had been here greater than 10 years in terms of tenure at NexTec and assigned them to the Acumatica endeavor. We found that, certainly in ramping up a new product offering, you can't put the end of the bench on it. You have to put the best and brightest. So we started off by moving some on-premise people, very tenured, seasoned people across to Acumatica. We have continued to do that with other staff members as we have built the practice out. And so some of our legacy practices, we've cross-trained a lot of people to be able to do consulting at Acumatica. We've also augmented that along the way by hiring external people to grow our team more quickly. So I would say a little bit of both. We did not find in our group that the switch from being on-prem to doing cloud was a very big deal for the consultants. Maybe to read into the question a little bit more, I think it is harder for the salespeople to begin to master the navigating of selling cloud and selling cloud first and believing in the value that brings. That's probably a little harder than the consulting switch has been our view.
And then we have a question from Toon. Thank you so much, Toon. You have a couple questions here. And did your prospects train on SaaS or their own server? Eric.
It depends. So, we have sold Acumatica in the 3 deployment model choices. From a training perspective, it depends on the methodology you're using, whether you're doing generic training on kind of demo systems or whether you're waiting to do training further down the process when you've done more piloting. So the answer is it depends. Sometimes it has been on SaaS for training, and sometimes it's been on-prem. But to me, I don't think that actually makes a whole lot of difference in terms of when you're doing the training and configuration of the product. Really, at the end of the day, you're evolving a configuration as you're moving towards going live that you can then put where it needs to be. So I don't think it matters where you're training.
And then it looks like we have a question from Toon that is referring to Sage. So how willing are your Sage customers to migrate to Acumatica? And I know that you also have some Dynamics GP customers, quite a few. So I don't know if you would be comfortable answering that question, but are you finding that there's interest from your current customer base in moving to Acumatica?
That is a bit of a tricky question. I would say this: we as a firm are committed to helping our customers extract the value out of their existing systems, and in addition to that, we're also quite serious about helping them to continue their evolution and serve the needs that they have. And so there have been occasions when customers have decided that whether it's whatever product they're on, they may decide they want to understand what's happening in the market, and we feel compelled to be that trusted advisor that helps educate them on those answers. Over time, I would say ERP is a very sticky product. It's not easy. It's not something people do on a whim to implement a new system, and so we have seen a few customers maybe raise their hand and want to have some conversations, but mostly over the long haul, we want to make sure that when customers do think about what they want to do, that we can be in that conversation and talk about the relative pros and cons of various solutions.
And I'm going to go ahead and close out this poll. I'm not seeing any more questions. If you do have any more questions, please go ahead and text them in via that question mark button next to your webinar, on your webinar pane next to your name. And I'm going to go ahead and close out this poll and look for some more questions. Not seeing any. So Eric, thank you so much. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and close out this webinar. We really appreciate everybody's time with us today.